What's good, man? It's your boy Juicy J, man. Shout out to Virtual Homework Podcast.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the r/ranch talk show, where we talk about everything in r/ranch news, new posts, new things about ranch as a substance. Everything you want to talk about ranch related, we got it here. That's all I have.
Sponsored by Cash App.
Sponsored by what? Cash App? I guess. I wish, but we're not.
Everything is sponsored by Cash App nowadays.
We're not. Why don't you get on that? Come on. You're the social media director at this point, except I do the Twitter and I make the TikTok videos. You just upload them. You do a little work, okay? I'll say that much.
You know, I have to wait around for the right time to post, you know, to game the algorithm. Granted, the last one I just posted when I got off work, and
it got just as many views.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, well, anyway, TikTok famous YouTubers, podcast hosts, Twitter famous.
What the fuck is this thing? No. What did you open this fucking podcast with?
No, I was getting there. I was saying we're famous on all of this media.
You're like, this is the Ranch
TikTok
podcast. You need to go explain this before anything.
You're not letting me explain. I'm trying so hard to explain right now. We got a TikTok fame. That's what we have now. We're TikTok famous. We have Twitter fame, YouTube fame, etc., etc. What's the next step? Getting a ranch-related subreddit. And then putting our TikTok on the subreddit.
Before you keep going, this is the Virtual Homework Podcast for people that didn't know. I'm Dana.
Yeah, this is a video game related podcast, if you couldn't tell, because of like the 3 minutes of ranch talk. Neither of us like ranch, by the way. I hope that we are able to reiterate that.
So what did you do in regards to ranch?
Okay, so basically, if a subreddit doesn't have mods, you're able to just like go to this one subreddit called Reddit request, and then you just get the subreddit if you want it. So I'm like, there's no mods for r/ranch. I guess I'll take it. All the posts are like about like using. It's either like, oh, this is a nice ranch, I want to move to this ranch, or it's like anyone else use ranch as lube, and it's like, I'll post my TikTok there. And so yeah, we're going to be permanently on r/ranch.
Dude, can you make me mod of that?
I could, but why? Okay.
I want to be a mod.
Sure.
I want to be a mod of r/ranch.
I guess that's where we're going with this. Anyway, this is a video game podcast, right? Is it still a video game podcast?
Yes.
Did we play a video game this week?
We played a video game. We played the NES version of Minecraft.
Well, actually, I personally played multiple video games this week. Did you play multiple video games this week? Did you play any more Cyberpunk?
I played a little bit. The problem with, like, I've had, like, 13-hour shifts, like, 3 times this week, so I really haven't had time to play many games. I didn't even play this game until, like, right before the podcast, which I did end up beating it, but because it's an NES game and none of these games are actually very long. But
yeah, unless you're playing like Mother, and that's like an actual like 25-hour RPG.
Yeah. There's no in between for NES games. It's either 25 hours or like an hour.
Yeah, actually, and sometimes those hour games have a lot of replay value. We'll go into that later. But I want to say I played actually a decent amount of Cyberpunk. I played like 6 hours of Cyberpunk. Nice. Nothing crazy. I know we like talked about it and how it's not a very good like GTA like sandbox, like just like go on a rampage. Yeah. I actually did that a little bit and I had fun. It definitely doesn't hold a candle to a game like GTA. I advanced the story and I've been enjoying it. I just keep feeling when I play that game just like I am never going to get to the end of it. It's making me sad. I like the way that I like to put it. Imagine if you're like really, really into One Piece, but you're on like episode 10 and you work 80 hours a week.
Yeah. It's just we have other games to play. You have a job, like you have a girlfriend. It's just like, how do you make the time to play like a 500-hour game?
Yeah, it's I just don't have the time and I'm sad because I really want to continue. And it's like I guess I could prioritize other things in my life, but that's totally not going to happen. It's also worse than something like One Piece where like, yeah, there's like 800 episodes, but at least you're able to multitask while watching them. Like a video game commands your entire attention. So maybe one day like we'll do like 800 episodes of this podcast and every single episode I'll have like a Cyberpunk update, like play 10 minutes.
We still need 10 minutes a week. We still need to play fucking Psychonauts.
Yeah, I mean, like, honestly, I have a question. Just like, when do you think it's acceptable, or do you ever think it's acceptable for us to go back to a previous game and play it for a second time on the podcast? Is it only when there's a significant update and like it actually changes the game, or do you think we're ever gonna like do another episode on a game we previously played.
Well, I mean, it's like a game like fucking Psychonauts. We both played like 2 hours of it, and it's like there's so much more to it that we could enjoy. I think like have a continuation and like more final thoughts on it. But the problem is, I think we're just going to be saying the same exact things we said. It just we have more context.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't know about you. I'm a changed gamer. Play 50 games in a year, and now I'm a video game snob.
Yeah.
Now I go back to like a very early episode, and I'll just be like, this game doesn't tickle my fancy as much as I hoped in this regard.
999 still is a fucking good game. That game is awesome.
Yeah, that's we shot our load like way too early and played like one of the best games we've played on the podcast on like episode 2.
We got to play this.
Which is pretty chill.
We actually might play the second one soon. I think we should go back to it. That'd be cool.
Yeah, we own them, right?
Yep.
Because like we got like a package deal with them, but we are really getting off the topic, off the title.
Yeah,
which
what
I know.
What did I say? I said we play the NES version of Minecraft.
Yeah, a lot of people I know. We've had conversations about this. Like, oh, we should probably sprinkle in some games that are like popular because we want to actually gain some relevance. We want people to actually find our podcast in traditional means. So with that, I decided let's play a game that has a lot of search recognition. Like people are really searching Tori Hououhen, Gaou no Bouken on YouTube and Google constantly. We've been talking like for months.
Can
about
I stop here
playing
for a second? How long? How many times did you practice saying that?
I actually literally I have the game title here, but like I did not.
That was
practice at all.
professional. Everybody, a round of applause.
Hinotori Hououhen Gaou no Bouken, aka Phoenix Chronicles, Gao's Adventure. This is the game we played this week. It was my choice because, I mean, I guess even though technically Cyberpunk was the obvious choice leading up to the past few games, Dana chose it, okay? I'm not wasting my choice on Cyberpunk. You wasted your choice on Cyberpunk. So I'm playing the real shit. I picked Hinotori Hououhen Gaou no Bouken.
To be fair, this is a fairly infamous title if you know anything about like the background of it. Like apparently in Japan, it's based off of like one of the most famous manga series ever.
So actually, it's based on the Phoenix manga series. Sorry to cut you off there, but I had no idea that it was based on that. First of all, if you didn't know, because I don't know why you would, Phoenix is my favorite manga series of all time. I own like all the.
Is it really?
It's Osamu Tezuka's life work. He never actually finished it, but I own all the volumes. This is based on Karma, which is the fourth, which makes sense. I'm like, how do you make a fucking video game based on the Phoenix manga? Because each volume is different significantly from one to the other. Osamu Tezuka is my favorite manga artist by far. I mean, like that's like a weird thing to say because one, like his style was so different than what you would consider modern manga. He's the godfather of manga, and like he's the godfather of manga.
He did Astro Boy, right?
Yeah, he did Astro Boy. I don't give a shit about Astro Boy though.
He also did Dororo.
He did. I don't know what Dororo is, but he did. What's that one fucking surgery manga?
I don't fucking know, but Dororo is like he did that, and they recently had an anime adaptation like last year. That's fucking phenomenal. I suggest checking out if you like any of his work. So
okay, my favorite manga of all time is Ode to Kirohito, which is this is my favorite manga series, Phoenix. Yeah. But Ode to Kirohito is a one-shot like 1,500 page manga, which I mean it's manga, so it goes by quickly. But yeah, Phoenix is amazing. My favorite in the series is the future one.
Did you not know that this game was based off that when you chose this?
No, I didn't. Mainly because of like Hinotori, like Phoenix is. Hinotori is how you say Phoenix. That's like present in a lot of things. So I'm just like, oh, it's probably a coincidence. And if you play the game, you're not going to be able to tell from the game that this has anything to do with the manga. It's just like an NES game with like certain sprites. But the reason I chose this is because this game has like followed me for a long time. I'm not going to condone this activity, but previously, it was very, very common to see like young people, especially in school environments, go on websites that have NES games and just like it has every NES game. You click on it, there's an NES emulator in the browser and you play it. I remember I like went to like some random page, clicked a random game that had like a title I couldn't understand, and I would do that a couple times, and usually it was either a game that like it's impossible to progress without knowing Japanese because it's like some like RPG or something that's just not translated, or it was like just some like shit game that no one's ever heard of that's the reason it wasn't localized. But I remember I specifically found this game, and I'm like, whoa, this game's actually dope. And then for 10 years, I had no idea what the name of the game was, and I'm like, oh, I'll never find this again. But I was thinking about it in my mind, and then I remember it was, I think, a while back, I saw a speedrunner I like playing the game on Twitch as another speedrun. So this game actually is a game that it has some speedrunners. Like, I'm not going to say it's an active speedrun, but like ZZZ_PC, who is one of the best Lost Levels players alive, he played this game, and I'm like, oh shit, I know that game. I love that game, and I haven't played it in 10 years. So like, I put it on my list, and I'm like, yeah, I'll play this eventually, and now I did. So that's the story of why I'm playing this game.
So I got to ask you, did it hold up to what you remember, or?
I thought it was an awesome game because I was actually able to play like a level of the game, and like it didn't completely break. That was my standard when I just like played random NES games in the browser.
I have quite a few criticisms of this game. We should probably go into like what the game actually is.
Yeah, so this is a standard platformer made by Konami. It was made in 1987, so Konami's actually been around since like the late 70s, I think, with arcade stuff. So this is not like one of their like first titles or anything. This is just like a run-of-the-mill platformer. It has actually a lot of similarities to Mario, I would say, and its claim to fame is that you're able to shoot enemies, and when you shoot an enemy, they become a block. If the block hits the wall, you can't do anything with it, but if you're able to collect enough blocks before hitting the wall, you basically get ammo to create your own blocks, and then like use those as platforms
so
to
my
get from
understanding is that
point A to point B.
You're actually an artist, and you can chisel out blocks, and you're throwing your chisel at enemies. That's like kind of your attack. There was like so many different interpretations of this game that I found online, but that seemed like the coolest one. Like, you're like an artist going from area to area. I'm not sure if that's relevant to like the actual Phoenix story or not, but
if I recall, the dude was like a straight up murderer, and like he was just trying to like, the book was called Karma, so he was trying to repent. But anyway, I don't think it matters. You are block man, and you make block, and then you go from left to right.
No, it's a cool little game. It's like you said, you go left to right, you play through the levels. There's 16 levels. What's interesting though is that you are only able to access 7 of them, and then the other remaining 7, 8, 9 levels or whatever, you get to by finding alternate paths in the previous levels. Because what you need to do is you need to go to the past and future by finding secret portals that could be hidden in walls or whatever, that'll either take you to the past or the future. None of this is explained. You have no idea where you're going or what you're doing in those worlds or what portals will take you where, because maybe one portal will take you to like the 3rd level in the past, or another will take you to like the 4th world in the future, and it's like it's a convoluted fucking mess. And then once you're done with all of that, it's just
unexplained. If you do not find the warps after beating the first 7 levels, you just go back to the first level and be like, what the fuck? How do I beat this game? But I actually was lucky enough that I found the first warp by accident. I was just like going to a place, and I was just like, oh shit, I opened a door, and like I just went in it, and it's like, I thought that was cool. I actually liked the non-linear gameplay, and I'm going to give this game the benefit of the doubt without knowing anything about it, and say that this was probably explained in some sort of manual which no longer exists on the internet.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't be able to read it anyway because it's in Japanese.
The same exact thing happened to me. I think I was on like level 7, and then spontaneously I broke a wall, and then I was in a different world. It was like a dinosaur world with like
that's exactly where I went to.
Yeah, so that happened, and then I was like, oh shit, like secret path. Like, it was actually like really fucking dope until I realized like this game's like a maze of trying to figure out where you're supposed to go to get all like the pieces. So what the whole object of the game is to get like pieces of a painting to unlock the Phoenix painting, to unleash the Phoenix on the world or some shit. I don't know.
But yeah, you're just supposed to beat all 16 levels, and then you're able to beat the game. That's really the goal here. I mean, like, I honestly disagree, and I actually like this game a lot. I don't know. You say you have a lot of qualms. I'm not sure if you overall enjoyed the game, overall liked the game, or didn't like the game.
It was fun, but frustrating at points.
Okay. I mean, like, I was frustrated on a couple of the bosses, but the thing that I liked about this game was that for an NES game, I thought this was one of the most forgiving games I've ever played. Like, first of all...
Yeah, you have infinite lives.
Yeah, infinite lives, unlimited continues. The only thing that you lose when you game over is you go back to the beginning of the level, and I guess you lose your points, but no one cares about points at this day and age in a video game.
For people like us, it's so perfect, because we can actually beat a game without having to save state, you know. There's a pretty reasonable time to beat this game. It's like an hour and a half or something like that, maybe 2 hours, like max.
Yeah, it was just about like what the expectation of how long we want each other to play these games as a minimum. and like I think I got about 2 hours of enjoyment in this game, and I definitely think there is a replay value in this game if you are like a speedrunner. This game seems like a really interesting game to speedrun.
Did you
the
beat
actual
it?
in-game time?
Did you beat it?
Oh yeah, I beat the game 100%. I think you did as well, right?
Yeah.
I beat the game 100%, but that's also any percent. So yes, we both beat the game. It was forgiving because of the continues, but like it also every single level had like a ridiculous timer. It's like 999 seconds on the
so
clock.
Much time. It's
I feel
insane.
like part of that was just like to prevent farming or make it like really annoying to farm like unlimited blocks, because the way that enemies spawn, you could get them that they just keep spawning over and over again, like a lot of NES games.
It's
but I think
biggest problem with the game for me personally is like this has some of the worst enemy spawn rates out of any game I have ever played. It plagues a lot of NES titles where if you're just in between screens or frames, enemies will infinitely bullshit spawns, and there are some bullshit fucking enemies. Not like difficult, but just annoying. Like those fucking fish. That shit sucks.
True, but the reason why this game is what I would consider a very forgiving game, besides what we mentioned, versus like this game could have been Ninja Gaiden tier difficult, is that they elected to have no knockback when you hit an enemy.
Yes.
And like that small change is actually awesome, because if you're at an annoying spot and you have enough life, you could reward yourself and just fly through it, which is pretty awesome, especially if you get a lot of the power-ups and like you have a huge life bar. So you know what, fuck this section, I'm going through.
Yeah, there's multiple items you can collect in this game. There's chests littered all across the maps you can throw your chisel at him. A lot of them I just straight up couldn't figure out how to open because they're like on the floor or something like that. My understanding is they fall from the ceiling. You kind of got to hit them as they're coming down, or you may have to like break a wall to like jump down, because you can't aim down. You can only aim like one block up and forward and upward, so it gets kind of difficult to hit some of them. But regardless, the items include something that increases your life bar by 1, another item that full heals you, which by the way, that item comes out at the perfect time every single time. Like I'll be
and you know when there's going to be a boss, because they give you the one that increases your health and the full heal and like some point thing every single time.
Yeah, there's like a point one. There's like an item that makes you invulnerable. There's like another item that makes you like invisible. You're like able to go through blocks for some reason,
which is like the absolute most ballsy decision from a developer. It's like, you know what, you could go through walls, you could basically break our game. Like that could they could tell that this game has the ability to soft lock, especially if you run out of blocks, because like you actually can kill yourself with the select button. I never had to do it, but
I did it a lot actually, just to get through levels. Yeah. Well, let's like, so did you break any of the floors? Because I actually looked at the manual and it helps so much. You can actually break the floor by jumping
you actually
3 times.
had to do it for certain chests, but like I didn't have to do it very often. It's kind of a frustrating process. It was finicky. You basically just like crouch and jump like rapidly, but sometimes it would work, sometimes it wouldn't work. I want to go back to like that power up chest thing though, just because those ones that you thought you couldn't get hit on the floor, usually it just means that you have to like jump in the air and risk dying and like spawn a block in midair to like be able to hit them.
Which
and honestly,
I didn't really feel like doing it, you know?
I guess that's where we differ, because I was getting these like every single block, and I was also doing it in a manner like, even if it was a point block, just the fact that they put these in challenging places, like I was like, oh, I enjoy the challenge, I'm up for it, and like I would try to get them, even if it like meant it would take more time to beat the level, or I would like risk death. Like I actually really enjoyed that aspect of the game. I mean, like I also, did you get Konami Man?
Oh, the boss?
No. So I guess there was like a boss with a Konami logo, but like I think it was in like the 3rd level of the game. And this didn't really, all the stuff went away when you game overed, so it wasn't like really something that made the game. It's not like a Donkey Kong Country beginning of the game power up where you get like 50 lives or whatever. But there's a item in like the 3rd level of the game where it's hard to get, because this game is like a lot of older NES games where if you go to the right, you can no longer go to the left. The screen doesn't scroll. Think SMB1, where you have to like scroll at the perfect place, get the item that allows you to walk through walls, and then like hit a chest. And it gives you max life, max blocks, which I think is 99, and then it gives you like a couple more lives, and it's like it's the shape of this little superhero. I thought that was a pretty fun Easter egg. It's only in one place in the game.
Oh, I never saw that. I saw like a couple, like I got like extra lives and shit like that, and apparently there's like a boot item that makes you not slip on ice. I've never ever found that, but
yeah, I never saw that. Doesn't matter. I mean, like, if we're talking about the actual level design, there were definitely areas of this game that were better than others. I thought the first area was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like
the first
you're like
levels.
you're like on a ship, and then you're like in a town and stuff like that. It was kind of cool.
Yeah, and I might just have nostalgia because that's the area I was in when I played this game in a browser over 10 years ago. But then there was also, like, I thought the last area, the prehistoric world, was pretty cool. I mean, like, honestly, the boss variety, like, there were some bosses that were actually good, but most of them you could just spam A near them and then they would eventually die, or you just find a very exploitable pattern.
I don't think any of the bosses were difficult. You could literally just go against the wall and just spam attack, and they don't do anything. Like, I think the only difficult boss is the gargoyle guy that like flies around and shoots like the blade. It's the only hard boss.
I thought the one that looks like Konami, the future area boss was kind of difficult.
I literally just stand under him and just attack up and just take all the hits. And like, so like, the problem with these bosses, you can just take all the hits, but you are attacking fast enough that you will kill him before he kills you if you're at full health.
I think the issue is that I just like tried to blitzkrieg before getting there, and then because of that, like, I just didn't have full health to be able to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, on that, I hated the future world so much. It was the most annoying enemies and the most annoying levels in the game. But I mean, like, you can't have perfect levels for every single game. I just thought it was funny that like they blatantly copied Mega Man, which is not the same company. It's Capcom. Like, the future world just straight up looked like Mega Man sprites. I was
had
like,
pretty good music though.
Yeah. Oh, so I actually know this music pretty well, and I was like, wait, is this the music from Jump? This music is like, I think it's Jump or Jump Half. The music from like the Yoshi houses is like this. It's like a da 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 da. You remember that music?
I'd probably have to hear it.
I'm not gonna. I cut out me playing music and I inserted actual music from the game there because I cringe at myself.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I thought this was an above average platformer for the NES. Like, I thought this was like an interesting take on what Mario could have been without Shigeru Miyamoto at the reins. Because like, at the end of the day, this has all the elements to make like a really, really solid platformer, but there was stuff that fell short that did not let it ascend to classic status. I thought it was funny though. I keep referring to Mario, and the reason for that is like, this game has like the exact same HUD.
Yeah.
The HUD is literally the same with the points of the lives. Like, the font is the same.
You can jump out of the map and like jump on the top of like platforms and stuff, where like, you know, in Mario in the second level you like break out of a block and then you're running across like the top of the map. You can do that in this too. Like, yeah,
that coupled with the fact that you can't move left, like, I was just reminded of Mario at every single turn. And then like, the only thing that, I mean, even the going from level to like world to world, it's like non-linear, like you're taking a warp pipe. This game did come out like a year, I think, after, maybe like a year and a half after Mario, so I feel like they probably took all the cool things from there.
I want to say, though, you may have a positive opinion of this game, but I think a lot of that is based, I'm assuming you used a little bit of a walkthrough to see where you go, because I feel like this is genuinely impossible to figure out where to go unless you're spending out.
The only thing I walked through was basic controls, that thing I sent you.
How did you get to World 8, to the last level?
I got lucky and I was just shooting stuff and I'm like, oh. So I looped through the last area for a while, and then like I realized I was like shooting stuff. I was like, wait, why are you able to break blocks in this area? And then I was like, oh, they again use that scrolling trick where if you scroll too far you won't be able to find the warp. But that was the hardest warp to find.
Yeah, it's
the other stuff was luck.
So that's like my biggest problem though, is like, if you're not lucky, then you're like literally wandering around like all the levels trying to find out like the portal to like the last world. Because the thing is, like, let's say you're stuck in the future and you want to go back to the past, you need to hopefully come across a portal to send you back to either the future or the past or the present, which can be quite frustrating after you've beat an entire level like multiple times. One level that stuck out to me that fucking sucked was the one with the falling platforms. The first time I got there, I died a couple times. It was just like, wasn't that fun. And like the bosses, I felt like you said, you just stand up to them and spam on them. There's not really much difficulty.
I think I beat that second try after I realized that the platforms could fall. I don't know. I'm just a better gamer than you. That's just how it is. That's how it always is. So get wrecked. My retort to your thing about some things being cryptic, these were different times, man.
No,
they did not want
that.
2 hours of gameplay. So you could acknowledge why they made a design decision and still acknowledge it's frustrating if you're playing a game today. So I think we're both on the same page here, but I'm able to look past it while you're probably looking at a little bit more of a modern. I have nostalgia goggles for this game. That's
No,
that's pretty much all it is.
It was fun and stuff like that. It's just like some like the turtle enemies or something like that. Enemies that just like patrol on the ground. They're impossible to kill if it's just a flat platform because you can't get into an angle to attack them. So you just literally have to jump into them.
Were you trying to just like absolutely bliss through this game?
No.
Okay, because I feel like if you actually just like stopped and like tried to kill the enemies, it wasn't that bad. But maybe I'm just again the god gamer. That's how it is.
Well, it's like let's say you're on a high platform, right? And then there's a lower platform attached to it, and then a pit, and there's an enemy patrolling that's only 1 pixel high. You physically can't attack it, so you have to.
Well, then you just skip it. You just jump in midair, get blocks, and skip the section.
Yeah. But it's like it just is like unnecessary. Like sometimes you have to jump down, or there's like platforms where you actually have to get hit to get past, or something like that. Or you can do that like crazy death jump, which is I guess a mechanic. But I'd rather not miss up an input and like instantly die. You know.
I think that you're just jealous that I picked an awesome game this week. Honestly, I'm just happy that we're able to talk about games that aren't like massive modern AAA titles. I feel like we haven't played like a retro game like this in a while. I feel like it was MC Kids, right?
Yeah,
but like
that was a good game.
I don't. It's been a couple months. I'm happy we still got it, bud.
No, most of my qualms with this are just like typical NES problems back in the day.
The quality of life mechanics are not fleshed out on my NES game.
No. It's just like comparing it to other NES games. Like, just like the infinite scrolling enemies. Like the fish enemies alone are enough to take it down a couple pegs for me. Those enemies fucking suck.
I had no issues with those at all.
I would have 8 to 10 of them on the screen at any given point.
Did you use an emulator? I'll ask
Yes.
that much. Which emulator did you use?
NES-topia.
Okay, that's the one I used. I don't know. I had one weird spawn the first time I went to like the final area.
Literally every enemy I ever encountered in the game would spawn like 8 times.
Well, maybe you're not playing on the correct version of NES-topia, and your computer can't handle playing NES games because that's just how it be.
Also, in the last level is literally one of the worst levels I've ever played in any game ever. Because I am.
Oh, it's like earthquake physics, and it's like it's okay.
So the problem with the last level, and spoiler alert, it's literally like at 2 frames per second, the level is just going left 1 frame and then right 1 pane. So it's just shaking violently, while at the same time your character is independently doing the same thing, but at twice the speed. It is nauseating. Every enemy, the background, everything is just shaking violently. What's going? And that's the level, and that's probably one of the easiest levels in the game. Actually, there's like really no.
Yeah, I first tried it, and I also didn't experience these issues. But then again, you get sick pretty easily. Everything that Dana says is wrong with the game isn't a big deal, and I'm just at this point I feel like I'm being mean by going along with this joke and just discounting everything he says. No, okay, you have valid criticism. However, I disagree. That's all I'm saying.
Well, it's okay.
In conclusion,
Sam's allowed to be wrong.
That's okay. I thought you were going somewhere with that. No, okay. I guess that's just my life now. In conclusion, if you like that one power up in Mario Maker where you make the blocks and then you could throw them at shit, it's literally they copied this game.
I would still give this game like
Nintendo.
I'll give this a 6 out of 10 though. Like I enjoyed it. It's a little cute little game. It obviously has like my little qualms, but it's not bad.
The funny thing is, like, I would probably rate this in like this 7 range. So like it's like all these like I completely disagree. It's like it's the difference between like a tiny nudge. It's like this is a game that's easily forgettable, and I have nostalgia goggles for. Even though I like didn't have this as a kid, I had this
think
as a young
a 6
adult.
out of 10 is a reasonable score for something like this.
Yeah, I mean this is not a game that like people are gonna like. There's a reason it didn't come to the U.S., and that reason is because no one knows what the Phoenix manga series is. But no, it's also just like not like people would not be raving about this game. They'd be like, I want more Mega Man, and that's how it was. So
to go back onto the guy, was it Osamu Tezuka? You say
Osamu Tezuka?
Yeah, Tezuka. He does Phoenix. Like I said, he does Dororo. You should check that out. It's super, super good.
You should check out Phoenix. Have you checked out Phoenix?
Maybe I will.
Do you even read manga?
No, but it's like I watched the anime.
There is an anime for Phoenix, and it sucks. massive Phoenix
Well, I'm gonna
balls.
watch it, and I'm gonna base my entire opinion on the series.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's honestly the problem, because I feel like you're gonna do that and be like, I don't really like Phoenix that much. That's not how it works. Okay, Phoenix is the best manga series of all time.
I heard it's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm really sad it wasn't finished, but that's fine because most of the books are one-offs that have like a similar theme. My favorite in the series is number 2, the future one. I don't know if that was number 2 in the Japanese release order, but it's number 2 in the US release order from like when they did it like 15 years ago. Anyway, read the manga. I literally could not get through like 2 episodes of the anime. It's that bad. It's okay. It's not like bad. It's just like, you know, those things that are like so bad. They're so mediocre. Like they're just forgettable. And like they just like, it's one of those.
I'm a huge anime junkie. So it's like, I have to watch like 7 series at a given time. So like anytime new seasonal comes out, if I can't stand the first 20 minutes of something, I'm just like, I can't. It's just so mediocre.
Yeah. It's like, no one's going to say like the Doom movie with The Rock is the worst movie on the planet, but like that's like, the fact that I even remembered that movie exists is impressive. When something is the most mediocre thing is worse than the worst thing, you know?
Yeah.
In terms of movies, like if we're talking about
because
like...
here's the thing, like I like bad movies and bad games because it's like you can get the joke behind it, but if it just is like it's trying and it's like super mediocre, then it's just disappointing.
Yeah, I'm 100% in the same boat. I would rather watch something that's unforgettably bad than something that's forgettably okay. I feel like that's my issue with like a lot of the stuff coming out today. Like everything in my life is like tried to be dictated by an algorithm, and like the way that these algorithms work is that like they try to eventually they think they know you, but like they're just trying to get you strayed towards whatever lowest common denominator like content there is.
Yeah.
Like you'll notice this because like everyone's gonna be like, and these shows are fine, but it's like, oh, you watch Schitt's Creek? I was recommended Schitt's Creek, and now everyone's watching Schitt's Creek, and like, yeah, it's good, but like, this isn't like something that like actually speaks to me, and like eventually, like the algorithm just takes you to like just whatever popular media slightly sways in your direction. I mean, like, I actually
next thing you know, you're looking at SJW's owned compilations, and you're listening to Ben Shapiro.
Okay, YouTube is a little different. Like, I'm thinking like more like actual like high budget media. Like YouTube, it's like you're gonna eventually go to like the 3-viewed guy that like is talking about like whatever like fetish you've only thought about, haven't even searched on your phone.
I've thought about it, and they can read my mind. I find most traditional media to be like unbearable, to be honest. Like most movies these days, most shows, I just can't.
This is gonna read like an ad, but like I mean, like on that, like I finally found an app that I think I actually will really enjoy. Like I don't really, you don't take me as a movie person, because when we tried to put movies in the podcast, you're like, I don't watch movies. Why are we doing this? And I agreed. But no, like I finally found like, so there's, I'm not sure if you've ever heard of the Criterion channel. Like you ever see like a movie, it's like, oh, this fancy movie's endorsed by the Criterion channel, or like it's in the Criterion collection. But anyway, they finally made an app. And the way that it works is that instead of being recommended an algorithm, they just have like a bunch of movie curators that are like, oh, this movie is part of our collection. And it's not like you might enjoy it. It's just like, here's our collection this week. So like, it's something that's completely curated and not like actually part of like an algorithm. So like, I just watched this fucking like movie from Senegal from 1968 called like Mondabi. And like, yeah, it was good. I enjoyed Mondabi. And there is no way any app would ever
suggest that
algorithm. It's like, oh, he's gonna love this Senegalese movie from 1968. Oh, it's like,
you love this? Check out The Avengers Endgame.
Yeah, exactly. But no, Mondabi, that was dope shit. Some guy's like, he's chilling in his house, and then it's like, oh, we have a money order for you for 25,000 francs.
I keep getting recommended The Human Centipede, so it's like, I don't know what I'm doing on the internet to making me suggest watching that, but I don't want to.
Yo, this is a podcast sponsored by Mondabi. You thought I was gonna say the Criterion channel or Criterion Collection, whatever. No, they're not going to sponsor our shitty video game podcast. Mondabi, okay?
Speaking of shitty things, I'm really pissed about my purchase this week. I remember a couple fucking weeks ago we played fucking Hades, and I bought the physical edition because I love the game so much, because it said it came with an art book. Well, it didn't come with an art book. It came with a fucking postcard-sized little pamphlet, and I'm pissed.
It came like with some dude laminated some printouts from the game, and like he like put like 6 on a page, and then like double-sided it, and then cut them out.
This is not a book. This is a fucking.
They literally really have the audacity to refer to this as an art book. And like, yeah, I actually really enjoy Supergiant Games. I think that's who makes Hades.
Yeah. They're a
but
fantastic
that's
company.
Kind of false advertising when you say it's going to contain an art book. However, I will say they weren't like super misleading. They just like showed like this book next to a Switch case, and it's like, oh, that looks like a legit book. The problem is no one's thinking that a Switch case is like the size of a ant already. So like you're basically paying for this deck of cards. You still get a physical copy of Hades, and that's pretty
but
cool.
it was like it's like $20 more expensive than the actual game.
I think it's 10. I think it's 35 versus 25. It's 25 on Switch at least. Like if you're talking about like some Steam sale on a sketchy link, it's probably like $3. But
yeah, it's 25, but it came with the soundtrack.
Yeah, so I still don't think it's a terrible deal. I think that is just a case of misleading advertising. It's okay, because I am willing to forgive Hades for the amount of enjoyment I've had.
I was just excited to have like some cool piece of art that I can put on my shelf and never look at again.
That's like when you donate to a streamer and like you put a long message and they're just like, oh, thanks for the thing, and then they don't read it. It's like, oh, I still support you. It's just I don't.
I actually stopped. I stopped subbing to almost everyone on Twitch recently. There are people that I had like 40, 50 month sub streaks with, and I'm just like, you know what? I don't need to have this.
Yeah, I definitely got out of hand at one point where I was like subbed to like 35 people at once. I'm like, what do I really get literally like $150 a month of enjoyment out of this?
No,
and I'm like,
I don't.
No, absolutely not. That's 10 times as much as Netflix. And then like immediately I like trimmed that down to like 5 people, which honestly it sucks, because the reason why I'm subbed to these people is because A, their content is good, and B,
you want to support them.
Well, I was going to say B, I have a legacy of supporting them, and I don't want to like there are so many people I want to support, but like I've had to cut myself off, and I hate the idea that I like someone more than someone else because I sub to them. It's like almost like if I want to start subbing to someone, that's like a lifelong commitment to spending $5. Like, and like that's how I view it, and that's why I never do it anymore. But
my problem is I subbed to people that were like 100, maybe 200 view streamers at the time, and then they blew up to be like 10,000. So it's just like it's no longer really personable. It's like you're not going to care. You're not really needing money or care if I support you or not. Really.
Yeah, I mean, like at the end of the day, like it's they're suffering from success at that point to like bring up DJ Khaled. It's you don't need to, and that's honestly good for them. Yes, the DJ Khaled. Oh, let's get him on the show. Let's make our first guest DJ Khaled. But I mean, if we're talking like Twitch, if we're talking oh shit, no, my god, we don't have Twitch. What? I assumed we could transfer this into a Twitch related thing. Legitimately, I'm like, oh, let me check the subjects. We have a Twitch thing, right? Oh no,
I was talking fucking special editions where we can talk about fucking Blizzard and how they're fucking up.
Yeah, I guess if we're just talking about the outrage machine. Yeah, so Blizzard is laying off. Blizzard Activision. Let's actually be more clear about this, because it really is Activision at this point.
Yeah.
Blizzard Activision is laying off roughly 2% of its workforce. They have not said the numbers, but they have said the percent. So like people are estimating around 190 to 200 people are being laid off.
It's basically the entire esports team. Who would have thought that competitive esports?
I made a gesture because I wanted to butt in, but like I was continue. Okay, I guess it's me.
Let's start this segment over.
I guess it's me on this one. Yeah, so Blizzard is laying off 2% of his workforce, but really it's Blizzard Activision, because the people that are really affected are on the Activision side, because even though they've been reporting this as a esports related layoff, when you're laying off 200 people and 50 people of them are esports related and the rest are related to an acquisition by Activision, King.com, that's really laying off King.com. The majority of the layoffs were from King.com. Who is King.com? They make Candy Crush, and I don't really understand why they're laying off these people, but they make Candy Crush and a bunch of other games. I think that Candy Crush has like a relatively large web presence, so maybe they're just
my mom still plays it.
Yeah, I mean, it might be one of those Zynga situations where like old people still play Farmville, but like it's nothing like it used to be.
No.
I think that is definitely less boring than the esports part, but yeah, 50 people, like basically the entire esports staff at Blizzard. I mean, maybe not the entire esports staff, but like a large part of the esports staff, like the general esports staff, not like esports players and stuff.
This is basically just a trimmed down from their esports. They had a huge push into the esports team with like Overwatch and OWL. You know, they have the Arena World Championship for World of Warcraft, the Mythic Dungeon Invitational for World of Warcraft. And it just, people are just not pining to watch this stuff. You know, the problem with...
I think that, like, the reasoning why they're laying off people is completely reasonable. They're saying they're laying off people who are, like, esports relations in because of the pandemic. Like, they're not doing, like, actual esports related events anymore.
Well, yeah, but it just is going to like the wider framing of in the Blizzard sphere. They put all this like hundreds of billions of dollars into fucking not millions, millions of dollars into esports, like with like Overwatch teams and stuff like that. It's just like no one cares about any of this. So it's just the fact that it's not doing well. It's not surprising they're slowly dwindling down like the team of people working on any of this shit.
Well, it's also just like the fact, like, do you remember that they like made a massive deal with YouTube and that like completely destroyed esports viewership?
Yep. It like ruined it because like the thing about streaming on Twitch is that Twitch chat is 60% of the fucking experience. Having everybody scream fucking PogChamp when something insane happens is like part of the experience, and then it's just like completely sterile as shit on YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, like with esports especially, I feel like the culture is so much more on Twitch than YouTube. It just it's not comparable. Like esports have to be where like people want to watch them. It does like it's not one of those if we build it they will come sort of things.
It'd be different if it was already there. The problem is they already have a massive following and been doing it for like 7 or 8 years on Twitch. To suddenly move it to YouTube, it's just like people just aren't gonna watch it.
Yeah, like I feel like people don't follow esports from platform to platform. They just like, oh, esports are on the platform I currently watch, I guess I'll look at that. Like I go on a lot of game directory stuff on Twitch, and I feel like that's how I find a lot of cool stuff happening, but that's just not something I could really do. YouTube has like the biggest searchability problem for both like live streams and their regular content. So that's how it is. That's why you can't find virtual homework podcasts when like you search like Cyberpunk. It's not the first result. What's up with that?
It should be. So if you want to sponsor us, YouTube.
Yeah. Oh my God. Imagine if you search Cyberpunk and the first result was the virtual homework podcast. I'd be down with that. I mean, like if we're talking about like, you'd be pissed.
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't even talk about like why people are actually pissed about these layoffs. Like people were like upset about people getting laid off, and we just like went into like a YouTube rant. But no, like this was also just like, oh, you know what? We're laying off people because of the pandemic. Why don't we just give $200 million to our CEO? So shout outs to Bob Kotick. I don't know how to pronounce his name.
To be fair, I mean, it just sucks that it happened at the same time because the whole thing about him getting that $200 million, it was a clause in his contract if they...
From like 5 years ago, right?
Yeah, if their stock hit a certain point. So it's like this would have happened regardless. It looks bad, but at the end of the day, it's business. Like it's really nothing. It just sucks that this happened at the same time.
It's terrible optics, really. If the stock was like up above a certain thing and it like it stayed there for a threshold, the threshold I think actually he's gonna get paid, but he's not getting paid until like the end of the June. It's just like a terrible time to announce it. Honestly, I'm surprised that they didn't make a bigger deal about this. But like one of the things, like all these employees are getting standard severance packages, but like as part of the severance, like they get a $200 Blizzard gift card. I feel like that's so weird. Like really, like you just got fired from this company. They're like, here's a gift card. It's like, I feel like that's just gonna make me resent you more.
Subway gift card. That's what my boss does.
It's like, oh, here's a $25 gift to Subway because you're gonna be homeless after we got you out of a job.
I love my job, but my boss he gave me a fucking $25 Chili's gift card for Christmas. I still haven't used it.
Honestly, like I mean, I guess I got a bonus, but my boss didn't give me that bonus. My company did. Like my boss didn't give me like a personal gift. So there we go.
Speaking of going.
What are you done with the podcast? Am I just gonna do it myself? No, we're not done here.
No,
we got
I never
shit to say.
That. I was gonna say, speaking of going, fucking something went away from the Steam store. Did you see what happened with Super Seducer 3?
Yeah. Okay. Have you ever played a Super Seducer game?
No, but anyone that's ever watched any streamer in the past like 4 years has seen like enough of it to have played it.
Yeah, my girlfriend actually streamed Super Seducer, the first one.
Oh, that's fucking hilarious. It is a really fun funny game to watch. For those who don't know, Super Seducer is a game by some self-proclaimed like love guru, like relationship advice type guy. He makes these games where you get into, and this is like played out all in real life, essentially, like little motion videos, where you talk to women and you try to seduce them to, I guess, sleep with you. So you could say like crazy things to them, or, you know, try to be like sly and probably say the right things. And then if you say the wrong thing and they run away or throw a drink in your face, the guy will come out and be like, you shouldn't have done that. You should probably be nicer and talk about her feelings or some shit. It can get quite sexual and graphic at times.
It's kind of like a visual novel with like real life actors and like real life scenes. It's like a modern take on an FMV, kind of like those like Night Trap, almost like those type of games, I guess. But the whole point is that like it's not actually a dating game. It's like what a neckbeard would think is the actual right thing to say. Like it's like a game where like negging works. It's like it's terrible situations that are only funny more than
and that's
anything.
why they've gotten such notoriety. It's because they're really, really funny to watch. Like if you're in a big stream and everyone's going crazy, like talking about these options, it's like it's really, really interesting and entertaining. And I think that's what the game is kind of evolved into: be more entertainment than be serious, which I think that was kind of the original intention at the beginning.
Well, so I think it's kind of one of those situations where it's like The Room, like Tommy Wiseau, like the person who actually stars as the actor, as the person getting all the women, is like the creator of the game himself. So this is what he would do in these situations, and like, oh, he has so many women, like, so it really comes off as it's cringe comedy because it's like this guy actually thinks this works. Yeah, and I think like, so this is Super Seducer 3, and Super Seducer 2 played more into those elements of like the ridiculous nature of it, and I think it was a bit more sexualized. But the reason why Super Seducer 3 is banned from Steam is due to the fact that the game is considered too pornographic, and while Steam does not allow for real nudity and like pornographic content, they allow for a shit ton of hentai games. Honestly, I think it's a problem. Have you tried to search a game on Steam lately? Because like you can't
search Cyberpunk.
Yeah,
like
you search Cyberpunk and it's like, oh, it's like put a tentacle in my asshole simulator 8. It's like there's 8 of these. God damn. Like
yeah, it's a huge problem, and I understand the argument and stuff like that. People, that's like the number one argument I see about this is like, well, there's all these fucking naked hentai games. I'm like, yeah, it's drawn, but at the same time, it's like I feel like that stuff's just as much as a problem and shouldn't probably be on the platform.
Yeah, I honestly, I don't want to play. I mean, the thing is, there is a massive blurred line where there's like AAA titles like Conan Age of Exile or whatever, where like they show dong, and Cyberpunk shows dong.
Like, well,
and,
there's extreme like nudity and hardcore pornographic.
Like, I wouldn't say the point of Cyberpunk is to come. Like,
no,
it's not one of those games you would like try not to come that you see on like a
you see those no, it's still on anime websites. It's like this game will make you come. It's like you must take a shower before playing this game, and it's like a picture of Naruto being or something.
Oh my god! Oh my god! You went there, but yeah, I personally don't think either of them should be on Steam. But apparently, by opening yourself up to legitimate pornographic content, you have a massive legal nightmare. So that's what they're thinking on Steam.
It's because it's like actual like real life instead of being like animation or like, you know, models in a video game. I think is the problem.
So the thing is though, the creator of the game is saying that like the game doesn't actually contain pornographic content, but we only have his side of the story. Like we're never gonna really get like the full reason why the game is banned. I think the game does have a Twitch safe version though, and I was surprised that Steam took action before Twitch if it truly was pornographic content.
Yeah, but you would think that because Twitch TOS is like super insane for that kind of stuff, but
yeah. So apparently it's content that's like locked behind a paywall that like is still like in the non-Twitch safe mode. But I feel like this, honestly, there is some weight to his argument that I could see Steam not wanting this type of game on their platform because like this encourages like if you've watched the game and like the dating moves,
you could just see like where it could go, or like the porn industry could start trying to make games where they're sneaking in more and more, you know what I mean, for that demographic.
I mean, there's that slippery slope argument, but like I almost feel like this game kind of encourages sexual harassment and probably teaches like young socially awkward men to like harass women.
Yeah,
and maybe that's where they're coming from. There's a lot of creepy elements in this game, and the fact that they're done with real life people.
I didn't even think about that. That's actually a fantastic argument. Like it does. It's like borderline like teaching kids to be like, I hate to say rapists.
Rapey. Yeah. So I feel like they're probably going to judge the game more harshly, and things that would be considered pornographic in their game might not be considered pornographic in a different title. But like they can't just outright say we don't like your game and what it represents, so we don't like. I guess they could, but like that would just open themselves up to like, this is censorship.
But at the same time, like you were saying about like the anime games, there's literally tentacle asshole adventure 19, and it's just like, well, that's also
but that's not going to teach to like dress up in a squid costume and
but there's some like pretty sketchy or like scary things like, oh no, I don't want to do this, type
like,
shit. You know what I mean?
Those banned games on Twitch. Like what's that one band?
Honey Pop.
Like that banned game on Twitch, the Maiden Rape Assault Violent Semen Inferno. That probably doesn't teach good values.
That should be played like, when you went to the computer lab when you were like in second grade and you played like fucking Zoombinis or like something like that. They should have
addiction games, yeah.
They should have that there instead.
Oh no. I mean, I don't think that teaches the good Christian values I've tried to learn. I mean, like, this is, okay, you know what? Hard stop. This is not a transition from this subject to this subject, but we have to go into this subject because it's a talking point. But at this point, I have to go through it. Facebook is announcing that they're trying to make more apps for kids under 13.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's not good. It's like, why would Facebook think that making they're literally trying to make an Instagram for kids 13 and under.
That is just asking.
That is the worst thing ever. And they're like, so apparently that Facebook has already made a messenger for kids, and like parents are able to watch what their kids post on it. But like we saw how YouTube Kids went. If you make a literal database of just like photos of children, there is nothing that could go right. The argument is that kids were trying to join these apps like Instagram, and they will buy, and that's like not allowed. So they're gonna make a place where like kids could post this.
Be able to do it though. I don't think they're developed enough to be able to do it. Here's the thing: you mentioned like, oh, parents are supposed to oversee this. Like I work retail. Every single kid under the age of fucking 10 has a cell phone, complete unfettered access, and the parent has zero interaction with it. Zero.
Like a parent could be like just chilling, and the kid's like, "Look at this knife I found on the ground." It's like, "Oh, that's fun. Let me do my own thing in the store." And like that's how like all retail is. It's just like you dealing with like little shit kids destroying everything.
Literally, that actually like stuff happens. Like we have like weapons on the wall with like kids like grabbing it, wielding it around while the parents just like looking at them like, it's so cute. I'm like, you're brandishing how'd you get this? This is high up. You like climbed up a display.
You stole my manager's gun.
Wait, what? Hey, buddy.
Yo, is that a fucking good episode or what?
Thank you for listening to the podcast. If you did like it.
All right, here's what you're going to do. 5 stars Apple Podcast. Subscribe on SoundCloud. Go to Spotify, get all your friends, and make them subscribe. Gunpoint. Basically, whatever you can do to make this podcast successful, we don't care what it is. We don't care what the means are. Thanks, gamers.
What he said, but slightly less aggressive and more loving.